Welcome to Is This a Great Game or What? With the Hall of Famer Tim Kurkjian. I'm his son, Jeff Kurkjian. And Dad, another day in Major League Baseball. I have to say, I'm thinking back this morning to that terrible snowstorm we had on the East Coast and how much I wanted baseball in my life. And now here we are in beautiful May. Baseball is very much upon us. It's important to remember to be thankful that we're in the baseball season. Absolutely.
Yes, and we're also thankful, Jeff, that we have so many loyal listeners and viewers, and boy, did they show up this week.
Oh my gosh, did they ever?
Mark, M-A-R-C, who says, "Go Mariners," he threw out a question last week, what is the you can only pick two players in baseball history, but they have to have the same name. First name, which two would you take? So I reflexively said Willie Mays and Willie McCovey, or Willie Mays and Willie Stargell. But Jeff, how many different combinations do you think we got from our clever, sophisticated listeners and viewers? How many?
Dad, it's funny because on my email, I get an email every time they message us, and then I get an email when you message them back. Our inbox was just stacked. You can always message us. It's super easy. Just go to greatgameorwhat.com right now and scroll down. You'll see a little page that says, get in touch with us. That's how you do it. It's so easy to get in touch with us. I recommend you do it. And while you're there, also subscribe to our YouTube page, of course, because we're on YouTube and you can throw things in the comments as well. Dad, we got so many great messages with some good and some interesting arguments for their first name players.
Right. Well, we all, of course, we had Hank Aaron, Hank Greenberg, which was a good one. Lou Gehrig, Lou Brock, Roberto Alomar, Roberto Clemente, Barry Bonds, Barry Larkin, Ted Williams, Ted Simmons, Joe Morgan, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Mickey Cochran, Frank Robinson, Frank Thomas, Mike Schmidt, Mike Trout. Those are just some of them, Jeff. I know I left some really good combinations out. Were you as impressed as I was with how many different names we got? One of our guys said, we could do this all night. Like, you could play this game all night if you wanted to. Were you as impressed as I was?
I think some people tried a little too hard to stretch on it when there were some clearly better than others. But I think to the point, Dad, is you could have so much fun with this. This just reminded me of sitting around, watching a game with your boys, and you're trying to come up with as many as you possibly can, and then kind of ranking them from there.
Right. And some of the stretches were funny. And Rogers Hornsby and Roger Clemens. Sorry, those are two different first names. Even though Mark started this argument or this discussion, I'm the commissioner because this is our podcast. And I'm saying Roger and Rogers are different first names. Am I right about that?
No, you definitely bring up a good point. They're 100% different first names, and there's no doubt Roger and Rogers can't be matched together.
No, and Babe Ruth is Babe Ruth, okay? I'm sorry. We can't go George Brett and George Herman Ruth because nobody called him George Ruth. You have to go by the name that he goes by, and I did enjoy this one. Roy Campanella and Roy Hobbs. That was pretty clever, so...
That's a good one. I mean, that would be like going with Lawrence Barra for... And then Larry Doby, right? Like, you can't do that. That doesn't work.
You just can't do that. So the Team Tim today is an extension of this conversation. And then we're going to put it to bed because, trust me, I don't want to say I've wasted a lot of time on this, but boy, have I spent a lot of time on this in the last 48 hours. So we have to move on, but we can't until we finish the Team Tim, which will be right at the end of today. Again, thank you for everyone for weighing in here. Some really smart, clever people with some great answers.
Yeah, make sure to follow us, subscribe, all of those things. How you can get in touch with Tim Kurkjian is at greatgameorwhat.com. All right, Dad, jumping across Major League Baseball, what do you have for the takeaways?
Well, Jeff, I don't want to be repetitive here, but the pitching is just ridiculous
It's
that we
phenomenal.
see every day. I saw the Yankees on Tuesday in Baltimore and talked to them, a couple of them, about Jacob Mizorowski of the Brewers, who the other day in the first inning against the Yankees did not throw a pitch under 102 miles an hour. And what makes him so unhittable, and that's what he is when he's right, is he's throwing from a different arm slot than most right-handers. It's kind of down here. It's kind of close to three quarters. It's really hard to pick up that ball. And when you're not seeing it out of the hand, and it's coming at 102, 103 miles an hour, it's unbelievable. One of the Yankees said he's throwing 5,000 miles an hour, and it just seems that way. I mean, Jeff, it's everywhere, correct?
I mean, when you're facing that consistently every single pitch, I don't know how anybody gets a hit anymore. Wait a minute. That's what Dad says every week
I
on the
says
show.
that every single night that I watch a game, and it is a tribute to the pitching that we
Right.
see today. Our hitters are completely overmatched. Jeff, look at all the really good hitters right now who are struggling terribly, led by Cal Raleigh. I mean, this is not a criticism. It's just showing what they are up against on a nightly basis. And how about Paul Skenes, Jeff? Remember, he had that terrible first start. Well, he's got his ERA down to 1.98. He has struck out 40 since he last walked anyone. That no Pittsburgh Pirate has ever had 40 walks. It's 40 strikeouts in between walks. And he just finished two straight starts, 8 innings, no runs, 2 hits, no walks, and less than 100 pitches. I mean, it's just absurd what he's doing, but we're not surprised because he is the best pitcher in the game. And yet, one of the Yankees whispered to me that Cam Schlittler, who's got that incredible combination of a four-seam fastball, which is unhittable, a two-seamer, and a cutter, and he's got two other pitches he could throw. But that three-pitch assortment just has Major League hitters completely baffled. And this guy put Cam Schlittler right in there with Paul Skenes and Tarek Skubal. How about that? What kind of company is that? I'm not sure we can go that far, that high, this quickly. But the point is that guy is really, really good.
Well, Dad, with their run in the playoffs and his run in the playoffs, a lot of people were saying, well, nobody knows who he is. That's why he's kind of being successful and he's still young, so people are trying to figure him out, right? And that's what they said about Paul Skenes when he first started, right? It was like, oh, well, once they figure him out, they'll be able to hit him. And here we are, sub 2. Yet again, no one is figuring it out, folks.
And no one's figuring out Cam Schlittler either. And they're not figuring out the Rays pitching rotation at all, or the Rays pitching total. This moment, the Rays have won 16 out of 18. They're 9-1 in one-run games. And Shane McClanahan, who's come back from so many difficult, physical issues, injuries, he's scoreless in his last 21 2/3. Just another guy you watch and say, how does anybody get a hit off of that guy? And we're going to discuss this even further when we get to the game changers in a minute. And speaking of the Yankees, Anthony Volpe is back to play shortstop, at least for a while. Okay, they sent him to the minor leagues after his rehab assignment because Jose Caballero has played exceptionally well. And it sure seems like that when Caballero comes back, and he'll be back in 10 days, he will return as the primary shortstop there because he has played that well and he can really run. And also keep in mind, Volpe's still got great talent, but Caballero's played better, that's for sure. And also keep in mind, in the Yankees minor league system, they have George Lombard Jr., who is a great defensive shortstop. We will see him later this year. And he can also play second base and third base, which, Jeff, is most unusual for a young shortstop, as young as he is, to be able to play a corner and play the other side of the diamond at second base as well as he does. That shows what a great athlete George Lombard Jr. is.
Yeah, the versatility of the Yankees system around that part of the field is unbelievable. And people who have lost faith in Anthony Volpe, I think he's going to turn it around. I have this whole idea around Volpe that if he wasn't in New York right now, he'd be playing a whole lot better at the beginning of his career. It's a lot of pressure to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees. Now, granted, a lot of people have stepped up, and Aaron Judge took that pressure and ran with it. Now he's arguably one of the best players, if not the best player in the game. But that pressure in New York is no joke, Dad. You talk about it quite a bit.
Right. And speaking of New York, A.J. Ewing made his major league debut for the New York Mets. He'd only spent a handful of games at AAA, but, the Mets are in big trouble. So they brought him up. And I didn't even research this myself, but Gary Cohen on the broadcast said he's the first Met ever to hit a triple in his major league debut, and he reached base 4 times. The last Met to reach 4 times in his major league debut was Kaz Matsui, well over 20 years ago. So A.J. Ewing off to a pretty good start. The Mets not off to a good start. They're in deep trouble, but it's always good when a young guy can come up and just do something right away and get people at least excited. So those are the takeaways.
Big dog, you know how it is, man. We're always hungry. And how do we get our food? We don't want the stuff that makes our bellies hurt. We go to HelloFresh. We find out specifically what we love to eat. And guess what, Kratzy? I know it helps you out the household. Wifey is happy, and the kids are extra happy.
I'm good at 2 things. Cooking is one of them, but not trying to choose what we're going to have. I've gone 15 meals so far, and they haven't given me one repeat meal. There's so many to choose from, and they can make it easy for me.
Yeah, and I think the best part of it is for me, I'm very particular. I'm trying new things, and I'm really, really liking these things from HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals plus a free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/FT10FM to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. Who wants that? I know everybody would love that.
All right, Dad, let's go to our game changer of the week. Every single Thursday episode, we bring you one of these, of something that's happening, a player, or maybe a rule change, or something in the game that's making a big, big difference. What do you have this week?
Right. Well, it's kind of hooked to what we've already talked about. The pitching that we're seeing in the big leagues is unbelievable. And it's the technology and the data we have that is changing the game. The technology is a game changer. Now, we've been talking about this for years, but it keeps getting bigger and better, the technology, every year. I had a guy tell me yesterday in Baltimore that one of the pitchers on the Orioles just moved his grip on his 4-seam fastball. Like, I couldn't even tell the difference as he showed it to me on a baseball. I mean, like by a hair, but the technology said, you just move your fingers, half an inch, a quarter of an inch this way, and suddenly your exit velocity goes up, your vertical motion goes up. It's just incredible what pitchers are seeing now. And the data and the technology has told these pitchers, if you start throwing a 4-seamer after what these hitters are used to seeing, high fastballs. Now a 4-seamer is cutting down and in, down and away. These are really, really difficult pitches to hit. And the technology is saying they can hit this pitch now. So the 2-seamer is back. Last year was basically the year of the changeup, the kick changeup. Now it's the 2-seamer. And I had the same guy tell me, with all this technology that we have today, all of which really helps the pitcher, he says, if you can't pitch today, you can't pitch in any era. Now, he's acknowledging how great the stuff is, but you combine that stuff with the technology that can make those pitches even better just by reading the data and looking at the technology. Does that make sense to you?
I mean, the only question I have is, I could have sworn this year was the year of the horse, but you're telling me it's the year of the 2-seamer. I could have sworn.
Yes.
Maybe I had that wrong. Okay.
Jeff, but this is the point. Every year, it's a different pitch that becomes the most unhittable pitch out there, or the trendy pitch that the hitters are not catching up to. And again, just go look. I mean, Shohei Ohtani, he's under 240 at this taping. I mean, this is what's going on in the game right now. It is fascinating to watch, and that technology is changing the game, which is why it's our game changer of the week.
That's right, Dad. And we want to thank our friends at Game Changer for being our amazing sponsors of the Game Changer of the week. The #1 youth sports app that helps you coach smarter, connect live, and replay the action. You can learn more right now at gc.com. You can check it out if you're watching on YouTube, or you can see more information in our show notes from today's show. All right, Dad, let's go into the Kurkjians. What do you have for us?
Well, I have my friend John Fisher back at ESPN now, one of the great researchers of all time. And Fish is one of my favorite people, also a pretty darn good player in his time, and apparently can hit a softball farther than anyone on the face of the earth. Hardly the point. So I went to Fish and I said, all right, Fish, last week on the podcast, we had that the Yankees outfield, Spencer Jones, Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, 6'7", 6'7", 6'3". Is that the tallest outfield in Major League history? And Fish went after it, and he really helped me on this because I can't find this myself, and I was not going to bother Frank from the Elias with this, but Fish found it, and he has determined that this is the tallest outfield by inches in the history of Major League Baseball. And we're going to see it more than once because Spencer Jones has significant power, incredible talent. Cody Bellinger is having a great year, and Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. But this is what I really got a kick out of it. This is where Fish texted me last night at 11 o'clock. Woke me up, but it was worth it. He said the only other time that a team in one season has used two outfielders 6'7" or above, not even in the same game, just two 6'7" outfielders in the same season was the 1993 Mariners. And one of them was Randy Johnson, and one of them was Jeff Nelson. They are both, Jeff, pitchers. Randy Johnson, 6'10", and I don't think I even remember this, played an inning in the outfield in 1993. And Jeff Nelson, 6'8", played one out in the outfield in 1993. So that was the only other time in Major League history that any team used two different outfielders in the same season who were at least 6'7". And now the Yankees are using two real outfielders, 6'7" and above, and they might be doing it for the rest of the season. Are you impressed that John Fisher came up with all this?
That is so crazy. And that makes, if I'm not mistaken, Randy Johnson the tallest position player of all time since he played in the outfield, right? At 6'10".
Your point is well made, Jeff. Okay, so Garrett Clevenger the other day, Jeff, see if this sounds odd to you, struck out the side. Let's be clear now, Jeff. This is an interpretive stat, but what to you is striking out the side? Just say it for what you think striking out the side means, because not everyone agrees what it.
Facing three batters, striking out three batters. That's what I think.
Right. And I agree. Now, look, I'm not going to scream or yell at anyone as a pedantic little twit about you give up 3 homers in an inning and you strike out 3 guys. I don't think that should be considered striking out the side. But Garrett Clevenger the other day struck out the side, Jeff, on 25 pitches. Now, does that sound like a lot of pitches to you? To face 3 batters, strike them all out, but you're averaging over 8 pitches per batter? Does that not sound like a lot to you?
I mean, talk about winning a battle there. Now and I don't want to call you out.
He won 3 battles.
Yeah, he won 3 battles. I mean, you're talking a lot of pitches fouled off, but that's insane to strike out the side on 25 pitches.
Right. Seems like I just jumped off the page to me. Right. So I called Frank from the Elias. Patrick Corbin, August 17th, 2023. He struck out the side on 25 pitches. So it's been done, obviously. It was done just 3 years ago. But still, you think about, an immaculate inning, you strike out the side on 9 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
He needed 16 more pitches to strike out the side.
Wow. That's crazy.
All right, Jeff, Cal Raleigh broke his 0 for 38. Now, again, Cal Raleigh finished second in the MVP voting last year. He is a great player. He is a really good hitter. But as we mentioned on Monday's podcast, so he went 9 games in a row, Jeff, without getting a hit. He did not go 9 games in a row last season without hitting a home run. This is why baseball is so beautiful, that Cal Raleigh could be that great last year and struggle this mightily this year. And you saw what he did to try to jump to get out of the slump, right? Logan Gilbert, his teammate. Did you see?
What?
He took a shower in his uniform to get all the bad.
How did I miss this?
Yes. Jeff, again, this is out there, so I'm not breaking any news here.
Breaking it to me.
I've seen this done before, Jeff. He took a shower in his uniform after another offer, got rid of it, and then went out and got two hits the next day, barreled up a couple balls. So, Jeff, baseball is so difficult to play. Whatever it takes to end the slump, and that's how Cal Raleigh ended it.
Yeah, I remember one time, Dad, you had a lot of trouble mowing the lawn. You were missing the corners, so you showered in your lawn outfit, and the next time you went out there and just perfect level. I mean, great trimming of the edges. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I was never great at mowing the lawn, but I was good enough to not have the duties taken away from me. But that's another story.
Sorry, didn't mean to poke the bear there. Sorry about that.
Right. All right, Jeff, we had another phone number. I'm not going to call it, but we had a 320 phone number that looks just like the line score in a major league game this week. As you know, I collect those. I don't call them anymore. It's intrusive. We're not going to do that. But every time I see one, I need to mention, hey, there was a phone number out there, and it was a Minneapolis area code. So we'll leave it at that, okay? Munetaka Murakami is the White Sox. He's been pretty amazing. So, Jeff, we talk about the 3 true outcomes: home runs, walks, and strikeouts. Murakami at this taping has 15 homers, 31 walks. That's a lot. And 63 strikeouts, most in the major leagues. So he has had 177 plate appearances this year, and he's had 109 of them have been a home run, a walk, or a strikeout. So he is now the poster boy. He now personifies what the 3 true outcomes means. Agreed?
Absolutely agreed. He personifies it exactly.
Jeff, 109 out of 177. The one of 3 results is happening, like, in those. I don't know. And he's been very productive, and the White Sox are moving forward, and he's been great. That's not the point. It's just, this is how we play the game today. Hey, this is a little bit old, but I finally found this. Byron Buxton the other day for the Twins, Jeff. He drove in a run in the first inning, and, he got a hit in the first inning, and he got a hit in the 11th inning, and the Twins won the game. So they're the only 2 hits that the Twins got in the game. Byron Buxton got them both. And it's only the 4th time since 1961 that any player got both of his team's hits, his only 2 hits, okay? The game went extra innings, and his team won. But he's the only player to get a hit in the first inning and a hit in the 11th inning.
Wow.
And they're the only 2 hits of the game, and his team won the game. The only players in the expansion area, so the last 65 years, he's the only guy to do that. So he got a hit to start the game, he got a hit to end the game, and nobody on the team got a hit in between.
That's absolutely weird, right? Absurd. And I saw a member of the family had messaged us and sent some stuff in. Some people were freaking out about that appearance, and it's only in baseball. It's only in baseball. Gosh, 11th inning, first in the. I'm glad I wasn't in the stands for that game.
Right. I mean, it's not the same. Steph Curry makes a three to start the game, okay? Then they miss every three in between, and then he makes a three at the buzzer to win. And no threes made in between by anyone. Now, look, it's the NBA. You're making a million threes every night. It's a bad comparison, but you get the idea. And last thing, Jeff, so tonight, we're taping on a Wednesday. Tonight, the Sonny Gray is starting against Andrew Painter. Did you have that?
Yeah,
I had that.
That's all
this morning at 6 o'clock. Did you have it?
Yeah, Painter Gray. Yeah.
Right. Or Gray Painter, right?
Gray Painter. Yeah. I mean, and in that Phillies game, Dad, Kyle Schwarber going into that game with 5 straight games with a homer, which ties the Philadelphia Phillies record for most consecutive games with a home run. So obviously this is releasing Thursday morning, so we'll know how Gray Painter and how Kyle Schwarber do in that matchup.
Right.
But definitely, that's all I had on a Kurkjian, Dad, was a silly name. So I'll leave it to you. I'll give you that.
Sorry to steal it from you, Jeff.
Bow
you know,
down.
I look at the schedule. I look for funny, weird names that match up, and they're everywhere if you just look closely enough, which pathetically I do. So.
All right, Dad. Well, of course, we got to do on this date in baseball history, May the 14th. What do you have?
In May the 14th, 1920, Walter Johnson. Hey, did I ever tell you I went to Walter Johnson High School?
Hey, did you go to Walter Johnson?
Have I ever worn this Walter Johnson fleece pullover for this show? How many times, Jeff?
I swear it's stitched into your skin at this point.
Probably. I better call Frank at the Elias to see how many times I have worn this and then mention Walter Johnson's name. He won game number 300 on this date in 1920, and we're going to hear more about Walter Johnson in this show. I'm warning you. Okay, 1972, Willie Mays in his first game as a New York Met hit a home run against the Giants to win the game. I mean, it's so classic Willie Mays. He gets traded for Charlie Williams, and then he goes to a new team, leaving behind one of the great careers in the history of San Francisco sports, of course. And then he hits a homer against the Giants to win. That's Willie Mays for you. This date in 1996, Dwight Gooden pitched a no-hitter against the Mariners. His only no-hitter, he threw it for the Yankees, and I'm going to tell this story again. He told the story of the no-hitter at an auction dinner at my friend Steve Blomberg's house a couple months ago. And remember, Dwight Gooden was struggling at that time. There was a chance he was going to get taken out of the rotation. There was a chance he was even going to be released. Yankees told him, "We need you to pitch," and he's thinking, for my career, I need to pitch. But his dad was very sick, literally on his deathbed, and his mother said, "You have to be with your dad tonight. He might not make it through the night." And as it turns out, his dad said, "Dwight, you need to pitch tonight." And he pitched a no-hitter. So the last game that his father ever saw him pitch, Dwight Gooden pitched a no-hitter, and he, at dinner table with 10 knuckleheads, including me, he got very, very emotional, teared up telling that story. Is that I've told that story 2 months ago. It deserves to be repeated. Agreed?
It's so beautiful. Yeah, I love that story.
Okay, on this date in 2017, Derek Jeter's number 2 was retired. I'll never forget Buck Showalter told me once that in Jeter's like first or second minor league camp, and the equipment guy went to him and said, "All right, this Jeter kid's up. What number should we give him? Something in the 80s, something in the 90s, or whatever." And Buck said, "No, you need to give him a really good number. You need to give him a single-digit number because he's going to be great." And there was like one single-digit number left. Number 2, they gave it to Derek Jeter, and then they retired it in 2017. Look, I don't care what anyone says. Whatever you hear about Derek Jeter as a baseball player, I think he's underrated, not overrated, and he had an amazing career. On this date in 1942, Jeff, Tony Perez was born.
Oh.
Our dear friend Eduardo Perez's father was born on this date. Now, Jeff, let's see if you can remember what Tony Perez's nickname is and why they gave him that nickname.
Oh, okay. I think I remember. Was it, Big Dog? Doggy?
Right. And so I asked Eduardo, finally, after years and years and years, why did they call him Doggy? And Eduardo said, Well, everybody loves him. He's man's best friend. So that's where
Aw, that's
Doggy came
right.
from. How great is that?
It's
And
so
also
special.
because Lee May, his dear friend, said that when you would go out and eat with Tony Perez out to dinner, and he would get like a T-bone steak with a bone in it, he would he would pick it up and gnaw off like every piece of meat, kind of like a doggy would.
Right,
So
right.
that's how he got his name. So good. And sad note, but on this date in 2003, Dave DeBusschere died. Dave DeBusschere was a Hall of Fame basketball player, one of the great power forwards of his time. I loved watching him play number 22. And he pitched in the major leagues, Jeff. He pitched 102 and a third innings, had a 2.90 ERA, pitched 2 years for the White Sox, and threw a shutout in 1963. So when you talk about crossover guys who played in the NBA and the major leagues, aren't too many better than Dave DeBusschere.
All right, Dad, let's go to the Alpha Best. So we have been counting down, I guess you could say, from A to Z in order to find the best hitter and pitcher with the last name of each letter. What are we on now?
We're on H, and this was really difficult. And some of our sophisticated readers may dump me after this. This was really hard. I had to decide between Rogers Hornsby and Ricky Henderson, and I chose Rogers Hornsby. Okay, Rogers Hornsby for me, and again, this is my opinion, not the correct opinion, is the greatest second baseman ever. He won 2 Triple Crowns. He had an OPS of 1.010. That's his career OPS. His lifetime average was 358. He hit 400 for a 5-year period, and he did it with great power. And for those who believe in WAR, he had a 127.4 WAR, which is the 12th highest of all time. So I'll go with the Rogers Hornsby, as the greatest letter H of all time. Now, again, that takes nothing away from Ricky Henderson. Anyone who wants to vote for Ricky Henderson, you will not get an argument from me. These are the difficult decisions we have to make when we make a list like this. What do you think, Jeff? Am I going to get yelled at for this or not?
Well, now, every time I hear Rogers Hornsby, I just keep thinking of Roger Clemens. Still not counting here. All right, Dad, let's talk. Speaking of pitchers, let's talk about, well, because Clemens was our C, am I correct? Our C pitcher.
Right.
So who's our H pitcher?
H was very difficult too, and I ended up taking Carl Hubble over Roy Halladay. And today, by the way, is Roy Halladay's birthday. He was born in 1977.
Really?
So this was a really, really tricky one for me, but Carl Hubble won 253 games. He had a 622 winning percentage. He had a 298 ERA. He led the league in ERA 3 different times from 1933 to 37, Jeff. He went 115 and 50. He won 20 games, 5 years in a row, 115 and 50. And remember, in the 34 World Series, 34 All-Star game, Jeff, he struck out Murderers Row in the 34 All-Star game at the Polo Grounds. He struck out Ruth, Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin in order. He had a great screwball, maybe the greatest screwball ever. So King Carl is what they called him. I'm going to go with King Carl over Roy Halladay. Anyone who wants to pick Roy Halladay, I'm good with that. That's how close it was for me. 2 very difficult decisions at H.
All right, Dad, 3 cards in the bathroom. You're diving into the basement bathroom filled with baseball cards. What did you bring out for today?
Well, I found a Ronald Acuna card, and we all know what an amazing talent Ronald Acuna is. Only player ever to hit 40 homers and steal 70 bases in the same season. He's had a down season so far, much like so many star hitters. Again, the pitching we see. But I'll never forget, Chipper Jones told me that Ronald Acuna Jr. is the most talented player he's ever seen wear a major league uniform. That's how amazingly talented he is. And here are the Braves, who are rolling, and they haven't gotten as much production or close to it from Acuna. You can only imagine where the Braves might be going once he really gets hot. They're a good team, and they're going to get better. And now Spencer Strider is back. Their pitching is starting to get healthy. It's a pretty good club down there in Atlanta. Agreed?
I still think the high praise from Chipper Jones, like when game recognizes game, that's got to be the greatest compliment in the world for a player, to hear from another player that you're insane out there, right?
Yeah. Now, Chipper didn't see Willie Mays. He didn't see Hank Aaron. So he's making it clear these are the players that I've seen in uniform in my time. So still, that's still very, very impressive. Okay, number 2 is one of my favorite all-time players, Torrey Hunter, who I believe was our greatest number 48 last year when we did the Ozzie to Oral.
Mm-hmm.
He's a borderline Hall of Famer, one of the best defensive center fielders I've ever seen, and hit with power, a great teammate. Mike Trout used to just rave that after every at-bat with the Angels, he would go talk to Torrey Hunter, and Torrey Hunter would tell him, here's what you should have done, this and that. I mean, he really leaned on Albert Pujols and Torrey Hunter to help him learn as a young player. That's how important Torrey Hunter was for him. Torrey also had an interesting superstition that he told me about with great glee, that he insisted that his spikes were absolutely clean at all times. So at 6:40 for every 7:05 start, or he would do it right before a day game, of course, he would take out his Mr. Bubble spray and spray down his spikes so they were absolutely pristine. As he told me once, if you look good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good. So,
wow.
And he told me once he was on base and he's hit a double in the first inning and he sent a slide into second. And as soon as he scored in the first inning, the first thing he did was take out his Mr. Bubble spray and do his spikes again, so they were beautiful when he ran out to center field in the bottom of the first inning. Does that surprise you at all, Jeff? Superstitions of players?
No, because that's not even the weirdest ones that we've heard, Dad. I mean, we've heard about putting your glove in a Wonder Bread bag because it says no holes when it comes to their bread.
I have a million of them. And Torrey told me about Bobby Abreu, who he played with. And he said that Bobby Abreu at 6:30 every night for a 7:00 game had to listen to the song. I don't even know who wrote it, but it's the song. I'm not going to try to sing it. Do you remember the 21st night of September? He would,
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Listen. Or is that Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah, come on, Dad.
I'm supposed to know that stuff. That's when I was growing up a long time ago.
Right.
But
even I know that. That song came out almost 50 years ago at this point.
Right. Well, I don't know anything, Jeff, about music. Well, we've been clear about that. So that's what Bobby Abreu used to listen to 35 minutes before every game. It got him ready. Torrey Hunter told me that story.
Fantastic.
Okay, and the last one, Jeff, is a bit of a surprise. This did not arrive. I did not get this out of the bathroom. I got this out of the mail. This showed up from my friend Bill Flanagan from Dallas, who I've reconnected with through the podcast, and he sent me this picture of Walter Johnson, a baseball card of Walter Johnson under, in a casing here, and it says on it, "Did I ever tell you I went to Tim Kurkjian High School?" Signed, Walter Johnson.
Put it in the screen so we can see. Put it right into the camera. Move it. Nope. Yep. There you go. Oh, you got to go on YouTube.
Did I ever tell you I went to Tim Kurkjian Walter Johnson High School? Signed, Tim Kurkjian High School. Signed, Walter Johnson.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Bill. That was very fun. That was very nice, and that was quite a surprise for that to arrive in the mail. Very good.
Yeah, that's really special, Dad. I mean, how many items of Walter Johnson, either high school swag and or Walter Johnson swag, do you have in your office right over there that you're looking at?
They're all over the place. Again, my bobblehead is right next to Walter Johnson's bobblehead. And who's right next to Walter Johnson? Let's see how good your memory is. You remember?
Dallas Braden. It sounds like the beginning of a really bad joke. Walter Johnson, Dallas Braden, and Tim Kurkjian bobblehead into a bar. Right. Where does that even go?
Isn't this great, though? Walter Johnson is the greatest pitcher of all time, and yet Dallas Braden did something that Walter Johnson never did, and that was pitch a perfect game.
Oh, I thought you were going to say go to Reptile World.
Right. And get
What was
trapped
that
there for
place
4
called?
hours. Right.
Yeah, what was it called?
Clyde Peelers.
Clyde
Reptile
Peelers.
World in Williamsport, or close to Williamsport. God, that was so funny. Dallas, it takes him 10 minutes to tell the story, and you laugh the entire time. So
yeah, and he told the story on our podcast. So for those who might be new to the show, maybe just started subscribing since we joined the Foul Territory Network or whatever, you can always go back on our YouTube or on our audio feed and find interviews with players and people we've had on the show, including Dallas Braden, Dad. And when he told that story, we were peeing ourselves. We were laughing so hard because he's just one of those guys. And when he talked about his time at ESPN and at the Pirates game, knowing he's probably going to get fired after this live hit, it was so great. I can't get over the moments we had with Dallas Braden. He's fantastic. We've got the wheel of Kurkjian. Still no intro because it's more fun for me to do it. All right, here we go. Your suggestions, you can always tell us, greatgameorwhat.com right now. Dad, I'm going to spin the wheel of Kurkjian, and we're going to find out what it has for us today. You can fill this in at greatgameorwhat.com. Okay, let me hold it. Here we go. Wheel of Kurkjian. Here we go. All right, let's see what we've got here. It says knuckleballers.
Right.
You got anything?
Jeff, we've talked about knuckleballers before. People look at them as some sort of circus act instead of being what they are, really, really good pitchers. And Phil Niekro, of course, was one of the great knuckleballers of all time, won 300 games, and he pitched until he was like 47 years old. So I'll never forget when Mike Flanagan, the hilarious, late great Mike Flanagan, played for the Orioles. He got traded to the Blue Jays, and like a week later, the Orioles went to Toronto to play the Blue Jays. And I'm covering the Orioles for the Baltimore Sun. So I am walking to Exhibition Stadium carrying a bag that weighs as much as I do, plus my computer. And he sees me struggling as he's driving in with Mike Boddicker, former teammate, in a Blue Jays rental car, which had Blue Jays written all over it. Okay. It was a hideous looking thing. But this is what they would give to their new players until their real cars could arrive. So he's driving a Blue Jays rental car, and he says to me and Mike Boddicker, he goes, this used to be Phil Niekro's car. Niekro had just been released by the Blue Jays in his mid-40s. And I said, well, how do you know it was Phil Niekro's car? And he said, I found his teeth in the glove compartment. Jeff, the point is, knuckleballers could pitch a really long time because they were, they're throwing a flutter ball. They're not using max effort. But anyone who thinks throwing a knuckleball is an easy thing to do, I don't think so. So rest in peace, Phil Niekro. We lost him a few years ago. But knuckleballers are very underrated in baseball history, at least to me.
All right, another spin of the wheel of Kurkjian. And it said, that's a blank one. I just erased that one. Hold on. Fungos.
Oh, boy. I love fungo hitters. Coaches who can use a fungo bat just absolutely fascinate me, how good they are. Jimmy Reese, who used to room with Babe Ruth a million years ago, I watched him as a coach with the then California Angels in the early 80s, and I was just absolutely mesmerized, like how precise he was with a fungo bat. And then, of course, there is Brian Butterfield, who was one of the great coaches, infield instructors, base running instructors. And he used to occasionally, and he never boasted about this, but I made him do it once. There's a screen behind second base during batting practice, Jeff, big high screen to make sure that, no one gets hit with a line drive. And you would put a bucket of balls behind the screen and you
Right.
collect them all. And I asked him a couple times, would you please try to hit a fungo over the net and make it land in the bucket of balls? And he did it once while I was there. I mean, I'm sure he'd done it many other times, but that's how skilled he was.
Wow.
With a fungo bat. And I told you that Jose Oquendo, who was a good major league player, but also one of the great infield and base running instructors for the Cardinals all those years, he was the best fungo guy I ever saw. And he told me, and I've told you this, Jeff, he could pitch batting practice
With a
fungo bat. So
That's
he would
so
hit the ball.
impressive.
He would hit the ball, Jeff, over the plate. And he said, I'm not going to hit every one for a strike, but most of them will be a strike. And then he said, but I'll never hit a batter with a fungo bat because my control is better than that. And then he proceeded to hit like 5 straight balls right over the plate from the pitcher's mound with a fungo bat. Do you find that amazing? Because I do.
Well, I remember when my coaches would use a fungo bat, and half the time they'd be like, oh, sorry, outfield, that one's to you. Or, oh, sorry, that's a screamer. Watch out, kids.
Jeff,
a little bit of a different
skill,
experience.
As we know, a fungo bat is much thinner than a baseball bat. And you got to be really good in order to use a fungo. And some guys have been absolutely great at it. Okay, last one.
All right, last one. Wheel of Kurkjian. Here we go. That says bunters? Yeah, bunters. What do you got for bunters?
Oh, yeah, I know people have written in. I think we've talked about this, Jeff. The best bunter that I've ever seen was Rod Carew. And he told me that he used to practice like an hour a day on bunting balls down both baselines. And he would try to bunt them into a bucket on the field, and just to make sure he could do that properly. Brett Butler more recently is the best bunter that I've ever seen. And he told me once, I never checked this out, that 48% of the time that he tried to bunt, he bunted successfully for a hit, which is, it's a pretty high rate, don't you think?
Very impressive. I mean, almost 50% right there. That's crazy.
Right. And among the other great bunters that I've seen, Juan Pierre was a great bunter. And one day, Jeff, I went to the Vet in Philadelphia. The Vet is the stadium that used to be there before Citizens Bank Park. So this was a long time ago. And it was a 7:00 game. And because I have nothing else to do with my life, I got to the game at 12:30. And Juan Pierre, who was playing, I'm thinking for the Marlins at the time, was rolling a ball down the third baseline just to see how it was going to react on the dirt and the grass. He was preparing for that night's game by rolling a ball down the third baseline to see, hey, I can't get it on the dirt because it's going to roll into foul territory. I got to keep it on the grass. Or, the dirt is very true. If I keep it on the dirt, it's going to stay in and I'm going to get a hit on this. I mean, that kind of precision really impressed me. Agreed?
Extremely impressive, because you got to know how the field plays. That's the difference in baseball from football and basketball. Everything plays a little bit differently. It adds to the beauty of our game. All right, Dad. Team Tim, wrapping up today's episode. I'm really anxious to hear, you kind of talked about it at the beginning of the show. What do you have for us for Team Tim?
Okay, well, it really got me to thinking the 2 best players for each first name in baseball history. Willie Mays, Willie McCovey. We've been over this. Hank Aaron, Hank Greenberg. So I decided, and boy, this was hard. I tried to do it by position because that's what Team Tim is, okay? So we start with catcher, and I couldn't find, Johnny Bench for me is the greatest catcher of all time, but I couldn't find another Johnny to hook with him to have this incredible combination of the two Johnnies. I mean, Johnny Edwards caught in the major leagues, but sorry, it's not Johnny Bench caliber. So I ended up going this way, and this was difficult. I went Bill Dickey, Hall of Famer, and Bill Freehan, who I think is a borderline Hall of Famer. So that's the best I could do. Now, if someone can do better than this, please help me. You know, I looked for a Carlton and Fisk and Ivan Rodriguez and, you know, Mike Piazza. I had Mike Piazza and Mike Scioscia for a while, but I agreed finally on Bill Dickey and Bill Freehan. And if you can remember this, Jeff, I'll give you $1 million. In 1968, the year that Denny McLain won the MVP of the American League for the Tigers, Bill Freehan was his catcher that year. And what distinction did they have that year that has never been done before or since? Pitcher and catcher. I've already given you a big clue.
Wasn't he the runner-up for the MVP?
Yes. Bill Freehan finished second. So a pitcher and catcher from the same team finished in the MVP Valley. That's never happened before or since. Pretty cool, right?
Very neat. Who do you got first base?
All right, first base, I did a little detour here. I went Willie McCovey and Willie Stargell. Willie Stargell was probably more of an outfielder, but he played, parts of 18 years at first base, played almost 1,000. He played 880 games at first base. So I went with Willie McCovey and Willie Stargell at first base. I thought about Mark McGwire and Mark Teixeira. I thought about Freddie Freeman and Fred McGriff, but I had a little trouble. Are those the same names? Fred and Freddie? Freddie Freeman doesn't go by Fred Freeman, right?
No.
And I've heard Fred McGriff being called Freddie, but I'm going with Willie McCovey and Willie Stargell. Is that a safe bet? Both Hall of Famers?
Definitely safe, for sure.
Okay, second base, Joe Morgan and Joe Gordon, Hall of Famer Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer Joe Gordon. Third base, George Brett and George Kell, both Hall of Famers. Again, if somebody's got a better one than I do on these, I can't wait to hear it. I'm not suggesting I've got them all right because there's no right answer here. This was hard. Shortstop was hard. You couldn't find another Derek or Cal or what did you say last week? There's not going to be another Honus Wagner anywhere?
Honus Williams. Remember him?
Yes, right. So I went with Joe Cronin and Joe Sewell. And there's also Joe Tinker. So we had three guys named Joe who were in the Hall of Fame as shortstops. Joe Sewell, by the way, Jeff, struck out 114 times in his career.
Wow. So
we will have several guys strike out 114 times by the All-Star break this year. Several players. Wow. That's who Joe Sewell was.
That's crazy to think about.
All right, left field, I really struggled because Ted Williams, to me, is the greatest left fielder. Ricky Henderson, I couldn't find a Ricky or a Ted to match up with them, so I went with Carl Yastrzemski, Hall of Famer, and Carl Crawford. Carl Crawford was a pretty darn good player. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great choice. I mean, not, Carl Crawford, not quite even borderline Hall of Famer, but great player in his day. I think that's a good choice. Of course, Yaz. Right. I mean, great choice in left field.
Right. I think we determined the second best Ted is Ted Simmons, who's a Hall of Fame catcher. But to find a left fielder named Ted to pair with Ted Williams, I just couldn't find it. Same with Ricky. I mean, sorry, just couldn't do it. All right, now this was my big debate, Jeff, and we're gonna let our listeners and viewers, and you're gonna be in on this too. So center field, I went with Willie Mays and Willie Davis. Now, Willie Davis played mostly in the 60s. He got 2,500 hits for the Dodgers. He could fly. He was a great defensive center fielder, played in World Series, did a lot of good things. Amazingly, Willie Davis never appeared on a Hall of Fame ballot. Never even got on a ballot. I'm still amazed by that. So I took Willie Mays, the greatest player I've ever seen, and Willie Davis. Now, the flip side of that is Earl Averill and Earl Coombs are both Hall of Famers, and they share the same name, even though Earl Coombs spells his last name E-A-R-L-E. and Averill is Earl. So I took Willie Mays and Willie Davis over 2 Hall of Famers. Do you think I did the right thing? I'm not sure I did.
No, I think you did the right thing, and we got to give you grace here. I mean, the only other, I definitely don't think this one counts, but did Ken Griffey Sr. play any center field?
Yes, but
primarily not a center fielder. I understand that, but
he was more of a corner outfielder, and
absolutely,
yeah.
But I thought that's where you were going to go and try to make the correction. So that was my only thought there.
Yeah. Ken Griffey Jr. played enough. Cesar Geronimo's center fielder there most of the time, as Steve Russian famously said. What did Cesar Geronimo yell when he jumped out of an airplane? Which I still get a big kick out of that. I shouldn't after all these years. Okay, right field. This was kind of so I found 2 right fielders: Dave Parker, Dave Winfield, 2 gigantic Hall of Fame right fielders. Pretty good. And the pitchers were easier than I thought. And this should be on the list. I might have left it out right at the beginning of the show, but Bob Gibson and Bob Feller are my pitchers. That's pretty darn good, right? Tom Seaver and Tom Glavine are right there. Do you think I'm right with Gibson and Feller over Seaver and Glavine? Seaver and Glavine are 2 300-game winners.
Right. I think you picked the right one, but that's some serious competition for starting pitcher right there. That's so great.
Right there. Yeah. So I am done with this now. Mark, I love the Mariners. We don't know Mark's last name, but he got this ball started. I'm kind of happy it's over because it has completely consumed my life trying to figure out this team and trying to figure out the best one of 2 players with the same name. Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Hank Aaron, Hank Greenberg. So many good ones. And thanks one more time to our marvelous readers and listeners who were just completely engaged in this.
You seem relieved. And I don't think I've ever said that to you in your life, because you are constantly stressed out about something. And now that you could get this out of the way, you feel much better, don't you?
Well, I feel much better now. But when someone writes in and says, how could you leave this combination out?
Gosh, yeah.
I'm going to be all upset that I missed something. But again, this is a team Tim. I'm not getting any facts wrong here. That's, at least I hope not.
That's a really good point. Don't forget to subscribe and follow wherever you're listening or watching right now. New episodes Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Is this a great game or what? We'd love for you to become a part of our family. It's easy just by following and subscribing, and you can even take the time to send us a message because we love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, thanks for being a part of our family.